Welcome in the 15th episode of our pair matching game tutorial. In today's episode we will start implementing our scoreboard scene. So the first thing we're gonna do, we will create the config script where we're gonna store our data and save it to the file. Okay, so let's get started. Let's open our project, and then first thing, let's go to the scripts folder and then right click, create C# script. And I will name this script config. Okay, and then let's open the script. So in our config file, let's first of all remove the start and update function. And then let's remove this mono behavior. So this script does not have to inherit from the mono behavior. Then let's add some using statements. So right at the top, I will put using system.io and using system.text.regular expressions. Okay, and then inside the config, let's first of all create some variables. So static read-only string, and it's going to be the directory. So dir will be equal to directory dot get current directory. Okay, so we're going to get the current directory where we have our project. Let's duplicate this line, and then don't change anything other than what we're gonna get. So we're gonna get application dot persistent data path. Okay, so when we're gonna run this game in the editor, we will get the current directory, but once we upload it on our Android device, we're gonna get the persistent data path to store our data. So let's add some if statements. So hash if, and then let's put capital unity editor. We want to use this directory. Hash else if unity android, we want to use this directory, and then let's put else, and let's copy this first line and paste it here. And then of course we need to close it, so hash and if. Okay, so we're gonna get different path depend where we run our game. So right below, let's add some more variables. So static read-only string, and it's gonna be file will be equal to add, and then open apostrophes slash. So this is going to be the name of our file. Make sure you put this at, otherwise this backslash will be treated as a special character. I mean the character after it. So we want to avoid it. That's why you have to put this at. And then let's create another one, static read-only string, and it's going to be path will be equal to directory plus file. Okay, and then let's create some variables which we will use in this file. So first one will be private const int, and it's going to be the number of score records will be equal to 3, because we want to store 3 records per category, per number of pairs. So 3 for 10 pairs, 3 for 15, and for 20. And then let's create some arrays. So public static float, and this is going to be the array score time list 10 pairs will be equal to new float, and let's pass this number of score records. Okay, so in order to pass this variable as a size of the array, it needs to be constant. Otherwise, if you remove the constant, you can't do that. Okay, make sure it's constant. So let's do the same for the public static string, and this is going to be the array as well. New string, and let's pass this the same variable. Okay, so let me explain these arrays. The first array, which is this one, is going to hold the time for specific number of pairs. So the time is going to be how long it takes us to actually complete the game. And the second array will capture the date when we played the game, so we know what date and what day we played it. Okay, so that's these two arrays, that's why we need those. And then let's copy those two arrays and let's do the same for 15 pairs. So I'm just gonna change this name to 15 and this one, and let's do the same for 20 pairs, so 20 and 20. Okay, and then we need one more variable, so private static bool best score will be equal to false. So we will know if our current score is the best or not. And based on this, we're gonna replace our sprite in the end game screen. So as you remember from the previous episode, we have implemented the end game screen, and we didn't replace our best score, your score is best writing, because we didn't know. So this variable will be used to actually determine that. Okay, let's create some functions now. So public static void create score file, and then if the system dot io dot file dot exist at path is equal to false. So if this file does not exist from our path, so this file, we will create file. Create file. Okay, this function, we don't have this function yet, we're gonna implement it in a second. And then after that, let's update our file. So update score list. Okay, let's implement first of all this update score list right below. So this is gonna be the public static void update score list, and this function will open our file. So var file will be equal to stream reader at path. Actually, we need to put the new here, new stream reader. And before we forget, let's actually close the file. So file dot close. So before we continue with this function, let's actually implement one function below. So it's going to be private static void, and this is going to be the update score list. So it's going to be the same name as the previous one, but we will pass some parameters. So first one will be stream reader, and it's going to be the file. Then we want to pass the array of floats, so float score time list, and then array of strings, pair number list. We will use this function to actually update all of our arrays. So let's implement this function now. So if the file is equal to null, we're just gonna return. Okay, so we don't want to do anything. So first one, let's capture the line. So var line is equal to file dot. It's actually file, small letters, read line, and then while line is not equal null, and line at 0 is equal, make sure you put one apostrophe, and then open brace. We wanna do the line is equal to file dot read line. Okay, And then let's put the for loop. So for int I is equal to 1, I is less or equal number of score records, I plus plus. We want to get the var word is equal to line dot split, and we want to split it by the hash. So if the word at 0 is equal to I dot toString, we want to do the string array substring will be equal to regex dot split, and we want to pass the word at I, and then we want to split by the letter D. Okay, so don't worry if you don't understand what is currently in this function. We're gonna have our format in our file. The data format will looks like that. Okay, so we're gonna have 10 pairs, then we have gonna have a number of the row, then this is gonna be our time, and then separated by the letter D, so this is the letter, and then we want to capture our date, so this is the whole record, and if it's nothing, it's gonna be just the 0D and empty. Okay, so that's what we want to get. So let me just comment this one out. So we want to separate by letter D, and then if float dot tryparse substring at 0, and then out var score on position. So if we successfully read our time, we want to do the score time list at I minus 1. Okay, so this list, because we started our index from 1, not from 0, but the index is in this list starting from 0, we need to subtract 1 from it, is equal to score on position. Okay, and then if our score time list at I minus 1 is more than 0, we want to do the var. We want to capture the date will be equal to regex.split substring at 1 and then t. Okay, and then we want to call the pair number list at I minus 1 is equal to data time at 0 plus t and plus data time at 1, and then otherwise pair number list at I minus 1 will be equal to empty string. Okay, so if we don't have a time, like in the second situation, we're just not going to capture any string from here, so we're just going to assign empty string. Okay, so this is when we actually successfully read our time, and then otherwise we're going to set the score time list at I minus 1 will be equal 0, and then pair number list at I minus 1 will be equal to empty string. Okay, so make sure you have this function implemented like that, and then of course last thing, after this f statement we want to read the next line, so line will be equal to file dot read line. Okay, so make sure you have this function implemented exactly as I have on the screen. And now we can call this function from our update score list function. So let's go up and update score list. So I'm just gonna copy this name, and first of all let me pass the file. So file Then we want to pass the score time list, so that's gonna be the float, so it's gonna be this array. And then let me pass another one, so it's pair number list, so it's gonna be this array. Okay. And then we need to do it for 15 pairs and 20 pairs, so I'm just gonna duplicate this line and pass 15 pairs, 15 and then 20 pairs. Okay. So this is how we're gonna update our scores, which we read from the file. Okay, we need to implement one more function. I mean, few more functions, but the next function we're gonna add is we're gonna add our place score on board function. So it's gonna be public static void place score on board, and we want to pass the time, so float time. Okay, and this function first of all is going to call the update score list. So first of all we're going to update the list, so then best score will be equal to false, and then we want to put switch statement, so switch, and we want to grab the game settings dot instance dot get pair number, and then first one will be case game settings dot ePair numbers dot 10 pairs, then break. Okay, and then we need to do the same for the 15 and 20 pairs, so 15 and 20, and let's change this one to 15 and then 20, and then we need to save our score list, save score list. Okay, so we're gonna implement this function in a second. So first of all, let's implement the placing score on the board function. So private static void place score on the board, and then first of all we're gonna pass the time, so float time. Then we want to pass the float array, score time list, and then string array, pair number list. Okay, and then first of all let's capture the hours and the minutes, so time, so var the time is equal to system dot data time dot now dot toString, and then we want to pass the format, so I'm gonna pass the HH. As you see, I have different formats here, colon mm, so hours and then minutes. Okay, and then the next one will be var the date will be equal to system dot data time dot now dot toString, and this is gonna be the capital M, then dd, and then year. Okay, so I want to have this format, and then var current date will be equal to the date plus t, and then plus the time. Now let's loop through the list. So for int I is equal to 0, I is less than the number of score records, I plus plus, and then if our score time list at I is greater than time, or score time list at I is equal to 0.0f, and then if I is equal to 0, make sure you put double equal sign, we're gonna say that this is the best score. Best score will be equal to true. Okay, and then we want to loop through the list backwards, so for var, and I will name this variable move down from will be equal to, open braces, number of score records minus 1, move down from is more than I, and then move down from will be minus minus. So we're just gonna move through all of the arrays in reverse, so starting from the end. Okay, so that's the reason why we're putting this for loop. We want to call the score time list at move down from will be equal to score time list move down from minus 1. Okay, and then pair number list move down from will be equal to pair number list move down from minus 1. Okay, so what this code is doing is checking if our current time, the current time which we have in a game is the best one. So if it's the best, it's gonna set this best score to be true, and then it's gonna move rest of the records down. Okay, so if we have already 3 records in the list, the best score, the current time, will be pushed at the top, and then the last time will be just vanished from the list, from the game. Okay, because we will store only 3 times for our scores. So after this for loop, we're gonna call this score time list at I is equal to time, and then pair number list at I is equal to current date, and then we want to break. Okay, so make sure you have this function exactly as I have. So this is when we're gonna place our score in our data file, and then we need to call this function from within the function which we create previously. So let's copy this name, and then for the 10 pairs we want to call this function with the first parameter time, and then we want to pass the array, so score time list for the 10 pairs, and then pair number list for the 10 pairs. Okay, and then let's duplicate this function. I will move it down for the 15 pairs, and then let's change the name to 15, and then 15, and then let's do the same for the 20 pairs. So it's gonna be 20 and 20. So we calling based on our enum, we passing different arrays. Make sure you pass the right array for the specific enum, and then we need to save our score list. So let's scroll up, and we need to still implement our create file list. Create file. So let's quickly do that now. So below this function, below the placeboard on score, I will call the public static void create file, and this function will call our save score list. Okay, but we don't have this function yet, so let's implement now our save score list function. So below this create file, I will call the public static void save score list. And then first of all, in this function, we're gonna clear up all of the information which we already saved in the file. So system.io.file.write all text at path. We want to pass the string.empty. Okay, so we're gonna clear all of the data which we already saved in the file, and then we want to create a writer. So var writer will be equal to new string stream writer, add path, and then let's pass false because we don't want to append the text. And then let's do the writer dot write line, and we want to write the open brace 10 pairs. Okay, and then let's store all of the information for the 10 pairs. So for var I is equal to 1, I is less or equal than number of score records, I plus plus. You want to do the var x is equal to score time list I minus 1 dot toString. Okay, and then the writer dot write line, we want to pass I dot toString, so we want to store the index plus hash plus x plus d plus pair number list 10 pairs at I minus 1. Okay, so we want to have this for loop like that. Let's copy this for loop and copy this line. So we're going to do the same for 15 pairs. So let's put 15 pairs here, and then replace this array with 15 pairs and this one with 15. And let's do the same for 20 pairs. So it's going to be 20 pairs and then 20 pairs. And over here 20 pairs as well. And then of course we want to call a writer right at the end. So writer.close, so make sure the file is closed. Okay, so we're calling our save score list from our create file and from our place on board. So we have all of the functions which we will need to actually store our data for now. So let's save everything. And I think that's it for this episode, as this episode was quite a bit code heavy. Hopefully you have everything right in this file. Please go through all of the functions again and make sure you have everything correctly implemented. If you have any question, please leave the comments below this video. We will continue this implementation in the next episode. So thank you very much for watching, and see you again in the next episode.